So, hi everyone, and thank you so much for being with us here this evening. I'm talking to the amazing Daniella Dean, who's a doula and hypnobirthing specialist. This is the fourth edition of Interviews with the Experts, and I'm so happy that we finally got it together that she can come and join us today. So, that's fantastic. So, I'd like to welcome you to Daniella Dean. Hi.
Hi, hello everyone.
Hi.
It's
Oh,
an honor
I think
to.
we lost you a little bit there, my lovely.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, it's all good again now. Sorry, I
Okay.
missed that
Yeah,
bit.
I was just saying thank you so much for inviting me on because it feels it's a really important topic to speak about, just women's empowerment and how we can all support each other. And yeah, so I'm very happy
Yeah.
to be here.
Oh, me too. It's really good. And you know what? In the group as well, there's quite a lot of people who are pregnant at the moment and who've just had babies and things like that too, or perhaps even those who are thinking about having their first or their second. So, yeah, it's a really incredible subject to be talking about. So, yeah, would you like to sort of start and just to let us know a little bit about what a doula is? Because I know it's a word that so many of us know, and some of us really do understand what a doula is because they have had experience sort of firsthand. But there is a misunderstanding around with doulas as well. I feel people don't really understand their role. So would you like to just elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So doula, the word actually comes from it's a Greek word that means female servant, and it can be sort of slightly derogatory to say that we're servants, but actually it feels a real honor to be a woman in service to women during powerful, significant points in their life. So a doula is someone who is trained to give support emotionally, practically, physically, and with education to women expecting, so pregnant women and women who are in labor, and then in the months when she's got a newborn. And the support that they offer is also to support the whole family, really, and give tips, give practical hands-on support, be there to just encourage and let them know that they can do it, and bring all the forces around that can help for whatever is going on for them at whatever period, whether it's before, during, or after having a baby, and getting them to know what resources are around and what they can use, and how partners can, little practical handy tips that partners can know that just make life easier with a newborn or during labor.
That's such an
Yeah.
important role, isn't it? It's so huge. And I think from someone who's been through birth, having that extra level of support, because I was really lucky that I did have I had a really, really, really dear friend of mine with me, and she's been in birth work for around 25 years. So she was really fantastic, and she did lend a lot of support to my partner as well as me and my mum, because she was there too. So she really kind of held that space for us. And do you remember when I came back from the hospital, she'd tidied everything up and she'd cooked something really beautiful for me, and she was really there to kind of help with that in between myself and the hospital, and helping me with the big decisions that I was needing to make. She really, really supported that, and other things like the massaging and stuff. So I really do understand the really incredible value of having a doula. It's really, really powerful, and for you as well to be in that position, it must feel like a real blessing actually to be able to spend some of that time with the partner and the mother in that kind of environment as well. So how do you support them? What are the kind of things that you do to support the woman? Would you be able to sort of talk us through a little bit about sort of how that would go?
Sure. What I would like to just add as well is that in hiring a doula, people actually, it's often women who, or couples that hire me, actually they don't have family around, they don't have friends that they feel that they can ask upon in this way. And I guess if you're looking at birth throughout history, there would be, it would be a local community, and you'd have your auntie or your mother or some very dear woman friend that would live across the street and would just come and help you with those traditional old remedies or old knowledge and tips and massage techniques, and it's kind of just the society that we live in. We don't have that anymore. So birth can be very isolated, just a couple who don't, they find out they're pregnant, it's so exciting, or it could be scary for some, everyone's coming from a different place, and there's just suddenly they're in a whole new world that unless you're having a baby or you've had one, then you would never have even considered that there's so much information and like you said, liaising between the hospital and just how all of that works. So it's having someone who knows about the system in the NHS, who knows about the process of birth and what women go through, what their partners go through, what's needed in the home, coming home to a clean and tidy house with cooked, just ready to rest. Doulas, they know about these things and can offer that kind of support. So how I help is I offer different packages, and one of what I'll talk about today is my birth support package, and that involves sessions beforehand. So I would meet up with the client some months before, when they're sort of at the beginning or middle stages. Oh, I've got a cat come in, and cheeky little kitten here.
Oh, gorgeous.
So I basically run through what couples and women are, what they're likely to experience, what they can expect from birth, and how best to prepare for it. And getting things practically ready and emotionally ready. It's such a big journey for a woman to transform into a mother, just during the pregnancy, growing a baby, and then it's just overnight, or just in a second she just becomes a mother. And it's quite, there's a lot to prepare for emotionally, as well as just practically, getting a cot and getting the right slings, buggy, car seat. There's so much going on, and so I
as a doula as well, just on reflection of that, is that when you do become a mother, you have these expectations and these ideas of how it's going to be and what you're going to feel like. And tell me if I'm wrong, but perhaps from a doula's perspective, you can almost foresee the kind of things that a woman may come across or is likely to experience throughout that journey, whereas we can't really see that yet if we've never been through it, because we've no idea what it is. So actually having someone like you just kind of to support and advise and understand the transitional stages that a woman goes through is so incredibly powerful within itself as well.
They're definitely, it's not something that women talk about, and that's why I think it's amazing what you're doing, just creating this network where women start actually speaking and letting each other know that I had all these expectations and actually it was nothing like that, and suddenly I really struggled, and that's part of it, and it's okay. But if you don't know that it's going to be a struggle afterwards, and that you need to start looking at what support you can have, it's a big shock. And I mean, it's an amazing, beautiful journey as well, but it's definitely
a shock.
It's really good to be realistic and just see the big transition in one's life that needs all the support it can get. So what I offer is, before, in my birth package, and what a lot of other doulas, all doulas work in different ways, but fundamentally what we want is to inspire positive births and help create and support that. And that can, the whole point of having a positive birth experience is that then it leads into and gives a really good footing into a positive and empowered start as a parent, really. And that there's not, a whole load of difficulty to deal with from having a traumatic birth, that actually women and their partners just feel ready and excited about becoming parents, and well resourced and well rested and supported.
Supporting is such a huge thing, because what you said before as well, some couples who are going into sort of parenthood, I was one of these. Fortunately, I did end up knowing quite a lot of people where I lived, but I moved to somewhere where I was pregnant, and I had no idea that I was even going to know anybody. And thankfully I met the most amazing bunch of women, but that was through a friend of a friend, and that doesn't always happen like that, you know. So I could have moved to where I live now and actually not known anybody, with my parents being 5 hours drive away and all of our friends being about an hour's drive away. At the time, you know, I was kind of faced with this very isolating situation, and I've spoken to a lot of women over the last couple of years, and actually that is what's happened. You know, they have ended up quite isolated because they've moved somewhere for their partner's job or their job or a family thing, or for whatever reason they've moved somewhere and they haven't really known anyone to share that with, really, and just to kind of go through that with someone else. So what would you do sort of in the kind of run up to the birth then? What does that kind of couple of weeks look like? And then also, if you want to talk about if you follow that on postnatally as well.
Sure. So actually it starts before a couple of weeks that it's always different. I do get last minute bookings, but it tends to be that it's so important to work with a woman, you know, around the sort of 25-week mark. And that's when we would have our first session, and I would just lay down what they might expect, you know, how it might look for them to give birth, so that actually then they're starting to sort of have an understanding of what but you know, it's a massive big deal on the body to give birth. I think that in itself can be a shock for women and their partners, that they just don't know what they're expecting. So it's really good to sort of have an awareness of what the body's going to do, how it might feel like, how to support it throughout the different stages of birth, and really get one's head around that, so that it just won't be any, you know, it won't be a shock when the time comes to go into labor. And I also help women and their partners create a birth plan, a birth preference sheet. You might have heard that word, some of you that have had babies, but for those that haven't, you know, there's working within the NHS medical system, there's so many things that they do that are amazing, that save lives, and just beautiful ways that they help babies and women give birth. But also there's a lot of things that they do that they want to suggest that may not necessarily be that necessary at that time. So it's helping couples have all of the information to know how to navigate the medical system in a way that works for them, and a way that sticks with their values and what they want, and then helping to create a document that expresses this to the medical staff in a really clear, concise way. You know, the all of the midwives and doctors I've met, because I, you know, as a doula, I end up working quite closely with them, alongside them, and they're amazing. All they want is to support the women, so they really do acknowledge the birth preference sheet. And I that's something I work closely with my clients on.
So you would sort of go in between the two, sort of liaise between the doctors and nurses around what their preferences are, and in terms of what's happening in that kind of current situation. And
I also tend to do is to support the birth partners to really speak up for their partner's wishes, but I also, you know, I can step in and help remind. But it's more that I don't want to come in and push the partners out the way and the doula's here, everything. You know, I really want it to be about them and their experience. So I support them, you know, I support the women to have, you know, a wealth of tools and things that can help her, and I'm there as well. But also the partner, you know, they play such a big part in being a birth support, you know, during the labor, and they need support. So actually, you know, they're just as important as the woman for me when I'm present at a birth, and then in the preparation work beforehand.
I think that's so important, because the partners can kind of not necessarily get forgotten about, but the attention is all on the mum, and so often the partners do get a bit neglected within that as well, and that just comes from a whole kind of societal thing too. And I had a bit of a chat to someone recently about this kind of subject, and actually I think maybe some more awareness around what the partners need at that time as well is really, really important. And that's something that was fantastic with my husband when I was giving birth, was actually my friend was really able to be there for him at a couple of real critical moments, and to give him some really good information so that he felt empowered to then stand up and support me. So she guided him, but she stepped back and allowed him to do that. And that feeling, I think, as well, for guys to almost feel, or partners to just feel a bit inadequate or like they're not doing anything, when actually they are doing the most important thing for that woman, is just being there and supporting and holding the space. So for you to come and help aid, that's just huge as well. So important.
Yeah. And actually, it's a lot of the time, you know, I'll have inquiries from the partners, because they're the women, they talk about it with their other pregnant friends at pregnancy yoga, the birth, but actually the partners are like, oh my god, there's a birth, I don't know what to, you know, so they're the ones looking online like, what do I need? Okay, a doula. They're the ones often writing to me saying, my partner's due, we want to chat to you. Which is really, it's just really great. And I think the more, so I feel so passionate, and it's great to come in here and speak about this, because the more people that know about doulas and all the kind of support that they can get for birth, the more that ultimately women and their partners will have positive experience that will just help carry them into parenting in such a really empowered way. And you know, it doesn't matter what actually happens during the birth. The thing that I've heard, and there's been some research on, is that often when women have a difficult birth, it's not necessarily because the birth was difficult, it was because they didn't feel supported and they didn't feel heard, they didn't feel respected. So, you know, and what I work with clients in the sessions beforehand is to let them know, you know, birth it's a wild road that who knows how it's going to look, because it's so different for every woman. However, it's being able to rise to meet whatever situation comes and feeling prepared for that, and being able to be flexible, that then can also support women to have a positive experience and just to roll with it. And so it feels important that it's almost not about how it looks, but it's about the way that a woman is supported. So it feels.
Do you think it's much more kind of prevalent now, the term, the word, the need for a doula, than it has been in the past? And do you think there's like a shift as a society in terms of our need, really?
Yeah, I think more and more people, I mean, I definitely, in Bristol, there's quite a lot of doulas, and there's, you know, a lot of home birth groups, positive birth groups. So I feel I might be in a bit of a bubble here compared to the rest of the UK, I'm not sure. But there definitely feels like a lot of people are becoming aware that it's a really important thing to have a positive experience through, and that without the right support, it can be tricky. And I definitely, I think that doulas are becoming, as with like hypnobirthing, doulas are becoming quite trendy. And there's, you know, like even there was the royal family, they had a doula recently, and it's becoming more and more well known. But I think also a lot of people that are my clients or inquire or join my hypnobirthing courses, they're actually people who have had it's their second time round now, and they're coming, and recently I had someone attend who was just, you know, so grateful to be there. This was a hypnobirthing course, because she was completely, the first time around, she just didn't know anything, she didn't know what to expect. And this is so common, that women, you know, they get pregnant, they just, hospital, you just book in, you don't need to plan anything, and actually there's you need to do your And a lot of the people that hire doulas are actually second time round mums, just because they want to, you know, they don't want to make the same mistake again, and they want to put plans in place, have a lot of support.
Mm. I
Yeah,
definitely know a lot of people who have said that. They've said, oh, next time I'm going to get a doula, next time I'm going to get a doula, because they've gone through that experience. And whether it's been a really good one, or whether it's been a relatively negative one, or actually quite a traumatic one, their needs are different for wanting a doula. But so many women say that. It's literally that sentence. Oh, next time I'm going to get a doula, or this time round I'm getting a doula. And yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I've said that as well, you know. I mean, I know how I had my friend with me before, which was amazing. She wasn't officially my doula, but she was a friend who I trusted, and she's been in birth work for years, so she was someone who could hold that kind of space. But I have definitely thought that next time I do that, I would really like to have the opportunity to spend with a woman that I can trust, that can be with me from like week 25, you know, building up that relationship, nurturing that relationship, and then sort of being around for a few weeks afterwards as well, for that kind of postnatal bit, because that's the bit that I feel is so needed also, is that kind of postnatal side of your work, which is absolutely invaluable, so invaluable support, because yeah, you're shattered, absolutely shattered afterwards, and you don't know what's up and what's down. So to have someone to help support that as well is amazing. So is there anything that you'd be able to you'd like to pass on to people today, sort of any chunk of advice or nuggets of wisdom, or anything that you want to talk about, just to kind of pass on to people who are watching today?
yeah. I would definitely just say, if you are pregnant and you're just considering your options for birth, I would definitely say knowledge is power. Like, I would attend various, different, I would, first of all, pregnancy yoga is amazing, or just making sure that you're really taking care of your body, because it will just really, it helps during the birth and then also the time afterwards. But I would also say, like, attend some birth preparation classes, meet some doulas, or if it doesn't feel right for you, I would definitely be well read and learn how the medical system works and what they might suggest to you that might just be a routine intervention that maybe is not necessary. Or consider what you really feel strongly about, and also what you feel strongly about that you're open to just dropping in a second, rather than trying to cling on to this dream situation, and just being real about what might unfold. It's definitely, it's a wild road, and it's so important to be prepared for it. And I would say you can refuse anything that the doctors say, and actually a lot of women do not know that, and they feel, afterwards I'll speak to women who said, well, they said I had to come in, or they said I had to do this. And actually, it's your body, your baby. You can make a choice that's right for you, but you want it to be a well-informed choice. And there's a lot of amazing books out there. I would recommend anything by Millie Hill. The Positive Birth book is it's really well written. It's an easy read with so much good information that can just help you make choices and considerations that maybe you hadn't thought about. And I would also say, create a birth preference sheet, and don't be shy to just state your wishes very clearly. I was chatting with a client recently, and she was like, well, I didn't know. I thought I wasn't allowed to really say what I wanted on there. And that was for the first time round, because women just aren't, women aren't, they don't talk about this stuff that much. So it feels really important to say, just surround yourself by women who have birthed before and hear their stories, and but also, if someone's about to tell you a negative story, you say, you don't have to hear that. You can just surround yourself by the positive stories, because you don't want to just put into your head a whole load of fear around it, because it's a beautiful, safe, natural process that your body knows exactly how to do. And it's all about trusting the body to do its work and creating an environment that supports that. And our minds are so powerful, how if we put fear into them, then they can start our body can start not working as properly. And
also at that stage, so vulnerable. It's almost like you have this incredible inner power, but yet so vulnerable at that stage and so susceptible to other people's issues. And I speak to a lot of women who say this kind of stuff. They say when they're pregnant, and they say, oh, people just keep telling me like, oh, it's going to be awful, you're going to be in loads of pain, and they don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear someone else's interpretation of something negative, because first of all, that's their experience, and that's how they've dealt with it and interpreted it, and that's their own personal experience. But everyone's so different that even if you are in labor for like 2 days, or in loads of pain or whatever, it doesn't take it away from the fact that it's absolutely incredible. And why do we keep doing it over and over again? It's because it's incredible. It doesn't, so that's quite a hard one, I think, as well.
Watching and being with a woman in the height of a contraction is just, it is so powerful. The force of a woman, this, what she's going through and how she's holding herself, it is mind-blowing. And I'm just again and again humbled by how capable and powerful, and how the body just knows exactly what to do, and it's just about surrendering to it. But it is also important, as well as just surrendering to the body, to know the system that we're in and how to navigate within that. But yeah, I definitely would say, like, reach out for all the support you can. And in regards to hiring a doula, there's a website called Doula UK, and it lists doulas all over the UK, and they're amazing women. And I would suggest meeting with a couple, and whoever you feel the most comfortable around, that's what you should go upon for hiring a doula. Really, you want someone that you just feel like you can just be yourself with. That's the main gift that a doula does, is that she makes a woman feel safe, because she just lets them be as they are. And actually, with the midwives, I mean, essentially midwives used to play the role of what doulas do, but it's just, it's such a busy medical system that they don't have time to give that continuation of care. And you would go to, you'd have your scans, and it's always a different midwife. And then throughout the birth, it might even be, they'll change shift. So having a doula is someone that's just continuous care, available for you. And you can message them when you're pregnant, like, oh, I'm just feeling a bit wobbly about this, or, oh, do you know about this sling, or just practical things, as well as preparing for the birth. You can also just check in with them. They have a wealth of knowledge and experience in this area. So yeah, I would definitely recommend having doulas, and there's amazing ones around in the UK.
So you're based in Bristol. So can you let people know how they would get in touch with you, whether if they wanted to speak to you in terms of your work, or if they wanted to speak to you for some sort of any tips or advice, or come and find your website? So how do people get in touch with you?
Sure. So I'm online, danielladean.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram, Daniella Dean Doula, and on Facebook, so facebook.com/Bristol Doula. And more than happy to hear from you and answer any questions you have. And I just wish you all the best, all of you out there, whatever stage you're at in your journey. It's it's quite something being a woman in this modern times. And yeah, I just wish you all the best. And it's been a pleasure to come and speak. So thank you so much, Naomi Ella.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely lovely. And I really feel that I'm going to be seeing a lot more of you on here, because I think there's a lot of avenues that we can go down, and there's going to be more questions that are going to come up. So yeah, thank you so much. And can't wait to have you back on here speaking to everybody. So thank you so much, and take good care.
Thanks.
Speak to you soon. Bye.